Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Fempreneur True Confessions podcast.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura. Nice to see you all again. And if you don't know, I am the owner of ODAA, Other Duties as Assigned, which is what we do kind of behind the scenes in your business. So, virtual management, project management in your business to help you behind the scenes is what we take care of at ODAA.
Awesome. And I'm Angelique with Lady Powerhouse Solutions. And Lady Powerhouse Solutions takes a heart centered approach to offering project and event management to women entrepreneurs who are on fire and lighten up the world with their passion and drive. And we help them achieve their missions in the most authentic way possible. And Laura and I both kind of do similar, like really similar things, but rather than see each other's competition, we've kind of buddied up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us Fempreneur True Confessions is that it's that idea of supporting women, supporting businesses, supporting women in business, and really hearing what their journeys are. So, we were talking one day about, you see about the bright, shiny objects, but where's the struggle and the journey? Because I'm struggling. Like I'm pretty transparent up front. And that's where this came from, was that idea of we're not here to compete. We really do need the support. We need to be able to have that kind of collaboration and partnership to be able to do that. And where are women at that can also do that and
Yeah.
really support that? So,
And share our stories and start talking about this stuff.
mhm.
That's because that's what we found. We did research was 80% of the female entrepreneurs out there do not feel like they have a mentor, do not feel like they have someone they can go to talk to about the business ish, you know? And so that's what we're trying to do here is create an open dialogue and a community where we can do that and
Absolutely.
find awesome people, awesome women to help us by
Yes.
sharing their own story. So our guest today.
Yay. So I'm going to introduce Elle Turner. She is a writer, boy mom of two, cat mom of two, and lifelong learner. She also she's also an entrepreneur, trainer, and business mindset mentor for heart-led, impact-driven entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurial training is the umbrella term Elle uses for personal development for entrepreneurs. Sorry, guys. Taking a leadership approach to business and cultivating, managing, and maintaining an entrepreneurial mindset. She uses her background in sociology, HR, personal development, and over 7 years in the online business space to support online solopreneurs and micro business owners who are ready to level up their entrepreneurial skills, mindset, and action taking so that they can build a thriving, fulfilling, impactful, and sustainable business that they're proud of. Welcome, Elle. How are you?
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Thank you for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
And
Really happy to be here.
I think people can already tell, like, you are from a different part of the world. Tell us where you're at.
Yes, I'm from Edinburgh in Scotland. That's where I'm coming to you from this tea time. It is here nearly just after 5 p.m. So, yeah, really happy to speak with you. One thing
Awesome.
that's so good about online business is being able to meet people all over the world. It's just been
Mm-hmm.
such a treat over the years. So
Yes.
I love this, speaking to women all over the world.
Awesome. Cool. And
Absolutely.
I love your accent. I could just listen to you talk all day. So I'm not gonna talk very much this time, just so I can hear you. I might go back and listen to this episode several times. Um,
Well, I'll do my best then.
just be you. That's all we want.
All right.
One of the things that we're really we love to talk about is an abundance mindset, and I loved what you said in your questionnaire that you believe in a rising tide lifts all boats, and I loved that. I've not heard that term. I've heard it. I know I've heard it before, but you don't hear it that often.
Yeah, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it was your President Kennedy who said it first. I
Okay.
believe. And I've heard it in a few places, but I just think it's so apt,
Mm-hmm.
that the um, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, all that kind of thing. That, my starting point, now that I know so much more about what it feels like to be in business in the online space, my kind of feeling is that we're all in this together.
Mhm.
And if we can help each other, why would we not? Because the end goal, I guess, for all of us, or certainly for the majority of people that I have come into contact, the end goal is all the same. It's to have a fulfilling life. It's to have the flexibility and the freedom to manage our own schedules, to create a better life for ourselves, for our families, and make a positive impact in the wider world. So we're all kind of on the same page. So let's all journey along together, kind of thing. So yeah. And it's so much easier too to have an abundant mindset. I think it makes your day-to-day experience so much easier than the sort of internal conflict that's associated with scarcity and what if I can't get the clients, and what if they all want somebody else, and what if this, and what if that, and what if the next thing. That just is certainly my experience of a recipe for not a very nice time in business.
Well, let's talk more about that, because that
Yeah.
isn't something we've talked a lot about, is that it's easier now, and everybody wants to things that are easier. And yet we do the hard thing where we overthink and we try to, we make up stories. And so what for you, what does that mean? What's easier about it for you?
I think if I can go back a little bit to when I started out in the online space and experienced the sort of polar opposite, that is probably quite a good way to illustrate it, because I started my first business in 2016 in the online space because I wanted everything that I sort of talked about before. And I saw having my own business, leaving my 9-to-5 and having my own business as the way to do that. And I knew I had an awful lot to learn about business because I had no entrepreneurial experience. I had no entrepreneurs in my family, no entrepreneurs around me. So I knew I had a lot to learn, but I focused it all on sales and marketing, managing social media, figuring out what platform, all this external stuff. I thought that was my only learning curve, if you like. I had absolutely no clue. It caught me completely unawares how business was going to make me feel personally. And I basically just fell flat on my face, really, because, because it wasn't terribly long before I was second guessing everything I did, everything I thought. I thought I was not cut out for being in business. I thought I was just being deluded. I'd just been deluded to think I was ever going to, be able to grow a business. I started pretty much hating the products that I produced. I was looking at them and thinking, that's just rubbish. And even when people bought them and said nice things about them, I thought, oh, well, they're just being nice. I just could not get my head wrapped around what I now term the sort of ability to take that leadership role and look at the business as a sort of separate entity and do the work necessary to build myself up as the person who can run it. And so it was that experience that led me through to where I am now, into taking the sort of completely different approach of it being personal development first for the sake of business development.
And that's been a common theme, like in many of the guests that we've had. And even one of my clients now, she says, if you don't want to deal with your demons and you don't want to improve yourself and you don't want to do hard work on yourself, do not start a business, because it will force you to face your bad habits, your unproductive, mechanisms. And it's so true, because business isn't about just the particular niche that you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
Running a business is about how do you run yourself? How do you, like you said, be a leader?
Yeah. Well, my kind of tagline but my philosophy is business is personal, and you need to build the business owner to build the business. That's my kind of, that sums up
Mm-hmm. That's good.
my whole kind of thing. And it's because I started my business to do this for personal reasons. It was for my life, for my family, for trying to do something positive in the world, to make a contribution. And that's all very personal. And I've come across so many people in the online space, women especially, but not exclusively, but women especially, who it is a personal driver.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, when it gets, one, difficult to separate yourself from the business, but two, you bring all your personal
baggage,
thoughts, and yes, bring
Well,
it all.
you nailed it when you said it's harder to separate the personal and the business, and we really don't. We don't focus on that. Our business and our lives are intertwined. I happen to not believe in that balance, that, I was looking for that certain balance. There's a different way where it's all embodied and encapsulated together. So my business is still a part of who I am and my family. And what do I need from my business and take from my business? And how do we work together the same as you would in a relationship with your family? So it's those same things, pulling them in together and not seeing it as, well, my business is only here, so this is all I need to know and do and be. And this over here has nothing to do with that, and not considering the fact that how we feel and the journey in our lives and stuff are personally affecting that business that we didn't want to be interconnected. That's business, that's personal, right? It has to interconnect.
Yeah. So, and when I talk about sort of separating the business from the personal, I'm meaning more so from the perspective of seeing the business as something that needs something from me as much as I need something from it. So, for example, when the things that, when I say I fell flat on my face, the things that I'm talking about are really about visibility and promotion. And the business needed me to do stuff around in these areas, and it's about what you say, Laura, about integrating, I think.
The alignment. If you have alignment between your life, your personal life, and your business life, and they're not clashing and they're not incongruent, then right?
Yeah. But there are times when, with the best will in the world, we're all human, and you wake up and you just can't be bothered, really.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much you love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be times that you just, whether it's other things converging, like not feeling terribly well, or whatever it is, but sometimes it is just, I just don't feel like it today. But there will be some days when I just don't feel like it, means okay, take a break, take a rest. But there will be other days when I don't feel like it, means, well, your business needs you to do it, so step up, kind of thing. So it's so I think that's sort of what I mean about taking that leadership role. Is it's a personal endeavor, but it's not just about doing what you feel like in any given moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you I'm the boss, I can sleep until 9, and no, honey, you can't. I mean, you could, but is that a recipe for success? Personally, is that a recipe for success? Personally, only if that is what works best for you.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're going to be consistent in it, and I love what you said too about how nothing's ever wasted, even if it feels like it's not working. And that's another thing that we've touched on so many times, almost every guest, that failure is feedback. It's not a personal reflection on who you are as a human being. It just means I tried something, it didn't work. Let's figure out why, so that next time I try something, I don't make the same mistake. It's feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've done so many live streams. Like when I had my own Facebook group, I did so many live streams and only my mum watched them.
Mhm.
And that's great. I have no problem with that because that enabled me to be able to do live streams. And
Get comfortable with it.
without that, I wouldn't be here with you just
Yeah.
now because I wouldn't have been able to say yes to this without having done that before. And at the time, okay, you might think, well, that was a complete failure because nobody watched it. It didn't get you anything, blah, 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 blah. But it got me a lot, and I think that's the mindset of there's nothing's ever wasted, because if you write a piece of content and it goes nowhere, that's okay. All you've done is walked yourself through your message a bit more, or clarified it a bit more, or you've got something to repurpose for another time or whatever. There's just, everything is a step,
Yeah.
whether
Oh,
you
the thought that everything
see
we
the evidence of that or not. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say the thought of it is that everything we put out it goes somewhere. It goes to where it's meant, and in that moment. So things where you're like, hey, a couple years ago I did this, and all of a sudden I got something back from that. Like it's crazy how that works and how
Yeah, you never know. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
That's
And I
so
think
true.
that's one of the things that's quite difficult I find it certainly difficult to get my head around, was this, you never know. So you have to kind of try things and experiment because you never really know, coming from a position of, procedures and,
Mm.
knowing the way to do things and being a bit controlly.
We call that structured.
It's like, and I love a planner, I love I love a good
Yes.
plan. And it's like, well, of course I know what's happening. Of course I know what's happening. And then you're like, no, I've got no idea what's happening.
And I think that's why we did have this phase or movement. And I think we're getting to the tail end of it, where it's like, do it messy. And on the one hand, for some people, that's a really important thing to do, just do it. Even if you don't feel like it's, because we all have this, it has to be perfect. If it looks imperfect at all, if it doesn't look completely produced and so fine-tuned and absolutely immaculate, then people will think that that's a reflection of me and my business. But the thing is, people relate more to stuff that's a little messy. That's a little bit more like a conversation, and less like, okay, they totally scripted that. I can always tell because I'm a huge podcast listener. And nowadays you watch podcasts on YouTube, but you can always tell when things are a little bit more scripted, and things just flow a little too well. And especially for the podcasts that have been around for a while and are really popular, they have a brand. I'm not saying all of them, but and then you have less of a desire to listen to them because you're like, well, I can't really relate to that. My life's just more chaotic and messy than that. But one of the things I definitely want to talk about today is this, you've mentioned it a couple of times, approaching your business with that leadership mindset. But the caveat that I think is really important, it's a small detail, but details are important, right? Is that regardless of the size of your business.
Yes. I mean,
because you're setting yourself up for success, right? You're creating that habit, that pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the term leadership, I've struggled with it a little bit, and the term leadership conjures up these pictures, doesn't it, of corporate and big teams and and to me, it's about self-leadership as much as anything. I mean, my business, I phrase it this way: my business is just me and the cat at the moment.
Have you written a book yet?
Well, I write fiction, and I am writing a book for business. But and I think
it's just you and your cat. Sorry, I totally derailed you.
I was about to go off telling you about the book, but anyway, just me and the cat, and it's very so yeah, it's just me. But going back to what I said, there are still times where it has to be not what Elle wants to do today. It has to be what the business needs Elle to do today, kind of thing. And not I don't want it to sound like that regularly I don't want to do what I'm doing. That's not it at all. But there's a need, I think, in business to say, well, I'm asking people to trust me. I'm asking people to come into my arena and listen to what I'm saying. So therefore, I need to be able to give to them in a way that they can make decisions about whether they want to be in that arena or not. So I need to be going first. I need to be stepping up and putting myself out there so that people can decide whether I'm for them or not. So it's not just a question about well, it would be more comfortable to say, well, I do this and here's the shiny website, go and read it, kind of thing. It's about taking that extra step forward and then taking another extra step forward to meet people and give them the information they need. And as an introvert, I find that difficult. I would class myself as an introvert, and I find that quite difficult. And when you were talking about scripted podcasts, I was kind of like going, because I do script mine quite a lot from the perspective, but I script it as I type it out like I speak. But as a writer, I find speaking much more difficult than writing. So it's that trust piece, I think, that is the mindset work or the personal development work for me. It's that trust piece that I will know what to say.
Yeah.
And I think so from a scripted podcast part of it, when it's my own, and
yeah. Well, and I think, like you said,
there.
Writing it down, typing it up, you're like doing pre-work.
Yeah.
You're getting the ideas that are all jumbled up. You're getting them down on paper, and you're like, actually, this fits. And it's like it's not as much scripted. I feel like what you're doing as it is an actor memorizing lines, but then they're not saying the lines verbatim. They're actually embodying the character and saying the way the character would say it. So, but the character in this case is you, and you know yourself. So you're in character, right? All the time.
I love that way of looking at it, actually. That's good.
Well, even though we're live, we have, we don't have a script. We have an outline with some basic ideas of what to say.
Mainly half the time we don't even do that.
Right. It doesn't keep me on track. So you have that basic, and when it's you, if you're not scripted, if you're not specifically with an end goal, very specific thing to do, you're able to go off track because that may be what was needed in that moment. So you could be on your podcast with a complete different agenda, and all of a sudden your mind goes here, and you let that go, you lean into it, and you've got a different podcast than what you scripted or what you thought you may have.
But it may be that's typically exactly what needs to be out in the world, right? The things that we don't think we're going to talk about, but in honesty, when we get together, especially as women, and we start talking and ideas start flowing and and then this and then this, and we'll go back to your book. Don't worry. It's still up here. I'm a reader, so we're going back to that. But there was a money coach that I worked with, and I'm pretty sure it was Joe Burns. But when you were talking about what does the business need today, it reminded me, he said he teaches us talk to your money, to put the money in front of you and talk to your money. What do I need to do to get more of you? And at one point, it was a really low time in my life, not just in my business was doing great, but my life was like awful. I was just going through a really rough time. And I asked my money, what do I need to do to get more of you? And the response from the money was, get your ass out of bed, in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Get back in the saddle. Stop feeling
Mm-hmm.
sorry for yourself, And so
Yeah.
it's like, you're right.
Yeah.
And so if we allow the business and say, all right, what do I need to do to grow this business today? What is it going to say to you? It's going to say, well, that networking thing you skipped last week, you need to not skip it this week.
Right.
Yeah.
And the business cards that you've been saying you're going to order, you need to order those.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that I say to people is that, my equivalent of a swear jar should be the phrase, there's always a line, because I'm always saying there's always a line when we're talking about these things, because yes, absolutely. There's a time and place for, you have to do the thing, whether you want to do the thing or not do the thing, and whether you feel uncomfortable or not doing the thing. If you want the end result, you have to do the thing. But there is a line between that and not recognizing when you do need to take a rest, or not recognizing when something's not in alignment, as you were saying. So
Absolutely.
it's not a sort of, it's nuanced, I guess. It's not a simple thing of
absolutely.
always get up and do the thing whether you want to or not. It's not as simple as that. And in a way, it would be better if it were, because then that would be at least a definite. And I think a lot of the things we find, or I've found in entrepreneurship, is there's just not the certainty that kind of comes with.
Well, and that's what a lot of people, that's how I grew up, was you get up, you go to, work, you do the thing, you come home, you do the things.
Mm-hmm.
As a mom, you don't get off of work ever. You are always on. And if you weren't, then you're a bad mom. And that's why I love the movies. Have you seen the movies Bad Moms? I love those movies. I freaking love those movies. But anyway, that may not even be the name of it, but Mila, she married. See, this is my ADD brain going off. Mila Kunis. Yes, I love her. But where was I going with that? Right, I've lost it. It's gone. It's off in the ether somewhere. It'll come back to me eventually.
You were talking about being a mom. You're never off.
Yeah, you're never off. But that wasn't it.
Was that
was
already?
Bad moms. You're talking unless you're a bad mom.
Yeah, but I was already down the rabbit hole. I actually had a real relevant point, but it's gone. Okay, this is real life, people.
It's real life.
This is real life. These are what conversations with me are like.
I was having a conversation with one of my friends the other day, and it was like, did that happen on Tuesday? No, it was Wednesday. No, it was Tuesday. It's like, by the time you figured out the totally irrelevant part, you can't.
Exactly. And we fixate on what day it was. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. It was no part of the bearing on the story.
But yeah, that takes up the majority of the conversation.
Yeah. And the brain power.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully it'll come back to me. I know I was talking about the money coach thing, and you talked. What were you talking about?
Couple things.
I don't know.
Her book.
She was like, I don't remember. We're not going to talk about the book yet. No,
that was about 90 seconds ago. That's gone.
Right. Let's talk about that. Right. Like, why are we like this? I got your answer for you. Cell phones, these things. These are like, our attention span is gone because we want this instant gratification, and don't get me started.
Well, I was going to say perimenopause as well.
And then there's that. And
thought comes in and thought shoots straight out the other side.
We have a guest coming on. I'm so excited about it. She's a functional medicine doctor, and she specializes in menopause. All the menopauses. Yeah. All the menopauses. Okay. And when we interviewed her, she talked about there was one thing. Oh, the hot flashes, right? Mm-hmm. It's a symptom of a deficiency in a certain hormone. Okay. And right. And so our body's trying to tell us, hey, you're deficient in this thing. You need to get more of it. You need to, and what do? We do the opposite. We go to a doctor and they go, oh, well, just, take this pill for hot flashes. No, that treats the symptom. It doesn't cure the issue.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have her on it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's see. You also have a podcast.
I do.
And where is it at? What's the name of it? I don't see the name of it here.
Taking It Personally. And it's for entrepreneurs who have a message that they want to share and an impact that they want to make, because I very much see business and the opportunities of online business being a way that, I'm going to say women again, but it's not exclusively women, but particularly can harness the power of having your income potential in your own hands, and and that flexibility that the structure of traditional employment just doesn't normally allow. So, I very much see leveraging online business as a way for women to have that opportunity for income and impact and legacy and all these good things. So that's what Taking It Personally is about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. We've had several financial several guests in the financial arena. The most recent being a woman whose husband had was it a heart attack, Laura? It was some kind of, a devastating issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she discovered how just ill-prepared they were for that kind of long-term illness, where he was no longer able to bring in income. Not only that, but there were additional expenses, and they just weren't prepared for that. So now her mission is to educate women on how to be prepared and not be so dependent upon, a spouse, and to have the proper insurance and investments and all of those things. So I think that's fabulous. And if you're looking for some guests that can talk about that kind of thing, we'd love to refer you.
Right. Okay. That sounds good, because I sometimes think that when I talk about it, it sounds a bit sort of highfalutin, or change the world. And I do believe that this is the way we can change the world, is that women having these leadership positions and having the kind of clout of money, or for influence and whatnot in their hands. But going back to what we were saying about is any size of business, I think everyone is contributing to the effect of that. You don't have to have some massive change the world mission to actually be changing the world through your own business, and the effect of having the flexibility and the autonomy and generally the positive effect on your life, the life on those around you, and therefore
there's actually statistics behind this. They've done research where women-owned businesses have a certain percentage more effect on their local community. They invest more, they donate more, they're more philanthropic. I should pull that data and share it maybe next week. Next week is our monthly recap. And then we do a monthly recap once a month, and then the following week we'll have another guest. But which is one of the things that's really cool. We like to do is have our current desk guest.
I've got a new job on my desk.
I was so angry about that. I really don't like this desk, evidently.
Really quick, before we do that, I want to give a shout out to Andrea.
Yes.
No? Yes. She joined us. She's chatting in the chat and saying hi. And The
Hi,
last
Andrea.
time. So I want to make sure we gave her a shout out. And she said,
Absolutely.
women will for sure change the world, one woman
Yeah.
at a time. So
She is a recent guest and has a YouTube channel, and she's watching live on YouTube. So thanks.
Oh, that's great. No, I love Andrea.
Andrea.
She was a guest on Taking It Personally.
What a small world.
Yeah.
Wait, did we learn
I
about
think
you through
she
her?
connected us, I think.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So, and another plug. So if a
go.
guest refers a guest that books and is in the podcast, you get free sponsorship, level 1. So we're just getting into having sponsors on the podcast. So congratulations, Andrea. You just won. Level 1 podcast.
Beautiful. And see, that's how it works. They're supporting each other. They've all been there.
Yes.
It's really what the show is really for, those journeys and that support and how it looks, and especially when you think online, we think online business, you don't consider it in that small community like you would if it was your neighborhood up the block little area, right? But it is that same kind of thing. We do have that same feel of coming out our door and saying hi to the people that we're working around. We do build those same kinds of relationships, though not physically in presence, but we're here like with each other, building that same thing in that small online feel.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I was delighted that Andrea was able to introduce me to your podcast, because that's what it's all about. Just us all, as I said at the beginning, we're all in this together. So let's.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Beautiful.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Laura, for so rudely interrupting me. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding, people. Thank you for
jump in. I will lose it immediately.
So thank you for jumping in on that. And thank you, Andrea, for watching from YouTube. And, that's a good point. We are live streaming. We're live on YouTube. We're live on LinkedIn. And then the recordings will be shooting out into the podcast universe tomorrow. But one of the things we like to do is have the current guest introduce the next guest. Dan, so are you ready?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm really happy to do this. Your next guest is it in a couple of weeks, did you say? Because you've got
Correct.
your next week. So your next guest is Rukima Glimpf, the founder and CEO of Be Well 365, a wellness brand that provides resources and creates spaces for deep reflection and autonomy to drive sustainable and impactful wellness outcomes. As a founding partner of Glimpf Consulting LLC, a consulting firm that focuses on business infrastructure development and mentoring, as well as individual wellness, Rukima Glimpf is a writer, mentor, and advocate for equal rights and opportunity. With over a decade of experience affecting change in both the political and civil worlds, Rukima has served as the Chief of People and State Operations for Bernie 2020, and as the Global Director of People Operations for Dimaji. Is that right? Am I right?
I'm not sure.
Rukima has a BA in history, an MBA, and a master's in project management, but most importantly, she has a passion for improving the lives of those around her. While her experiences have positioned her to have in-depth knowledge and first-hand understanding of what others might need, Rukima's heart is what led her to write Total Wellness. She knows all too well the everyday challenges all people face in a rapidly changing world, and she strives to improve personal well-being with this book. She hopes it will help everyone create innovative solutions necessary for change. That sounds amazing.
I know, right?
I will be tuning in.
Well, one of the things I forgot was your did I talk about your freebie yet?
No.
Lord, where is my brain today? Like it left the room a minute ago and has not returned.
I'd forgotten about it as well. It's fine. We could have gone.
Well, we talked about your podcast,
Yes,
and I
we
think
did.
I was trying to get to, and I was interrupted, which is fine. I was trying to get to the fact that you have a free, what is it? Wait a minute.
It's a free guide about 5 ways to stop procrastinating and take action today to achieve your business goals. So that's the free downloadable PDF. That is the gift, I suppose, that I would send as a welcome to joining my email list for anybody who would like to do so. So I call my email list our Heart-Led Conversation. I email probably a couple of times a week after the welcome sequence with, you know, tips and stories and information in relation to being a business owner in the online space. And I also email my podcast so that it goes direct to your inbox rather than you having to track it down. So anybody who would like to join us, I would absolutely love to have them join the fam. And
Very cool.
yes, so thank you very much for sharing the link.
Oh, yes. We'll drop all the links in the show notes for Elle's website, the email list, the podcast, all the places on the line. Okay. And
Go click all the links.
clicky, clicky.
Yeah.
One of the things too, we also have an email list and we also have all kinds of socials and everything. So if you want to stay in the know with us, if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast or learning how to get a free level 1 sponsorship, just, you know, get on the email list, check us out in all the places, message us somewhere, email us. Pretty easy. Fempreneur True Confessions @gmail.com. But the book. All right, what's the book about?
The book, my book.
You didn't think? Right. You thought I forgot? I didn't forget.
Yeah, I did. I thought, yeah. It's really about this idea of leadership, for being a new paradigm of leadership for an improved world, and looking at why we hold ourselves back from doing all the things. What prevents us doing all the things? So it's kind of it's you know I see myself as sitting kind of on the intersection of logic and spirituality, because very you know, obviously come from a background that was very left brain focused, if you like, very logical, very, you know, but over the last number of years, partly to do with being in the online space and all the experiences as a business owner, as well as some sort of personal things as well, it's really opened my eyes to the spiritual aspects, and I see them as every bit as much business activities, if you like, as marketing and
all the other things.
So, you know, one of the things that I have been exploring, because it had a lot of resonance with me, was the witch wound, and that's going to be making an appearance in the book as well, because I think that's, you know, quite has an influence on how we don't show up in the online space sometimes. So yeah, so it's I've talked about it twice now on podcast, so I'm actually gonna have to do it now.
You're gonna have to start putting some teasers out there. That's what I did. Like every time I'd get this epiphany or some kind of like tidbit that I knew I'd be putting in my book or was talking about in my book, I would put a little quote out. And the soon to be released, the working title. What's the working title on your book?
On the Shoulders of Witches.
And so the working title, what was the working title for mine? A guidebook for sinners like you and me, I think.
All right. Okay.
Is kind of what I've been playing with. I don't know that will be it, but that's what I'm calling it right now. It's the guidebook, but it's for sinners like you and me. Because but sinners isn't really the word as much as, you know, I have failed, but I've failed forward. And I have failed like multiple times, and not just in business, but in life. And
I think it's we need to you know, the word failure's got such negative connotations that comes along with it, but the actual act of failing isn't negative.
No.
So
I welcome it now.
Yeah.
Like,
I
oh,
wouldn't
that didn't work.
go that
Cool.
far.
Yeah.
I'm that much closer to what? Well,
Mhm.
Well, I've still got a bit of growth to do to actually welcome it. I still feel a bit like, but
okay, that's going to be a soundbite for sure.
That
Just like,
with the still as well.
ah.
But yeah, I mean, I think definitely the only way that you can, it shows that you try, and I think trying can't be a failure in the negative sense. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so many negative words that we have, if you take a different way of looking at them, they become such a much better thing. We were talking about kind of like manipulation and things like that, where you see people who are manipulative, they're just, it's bad and that kind of thing. But when I look at them, like, there's so much good that can be done with manipulate. Like, it doesn't have to be a negative type thing, and thinking of it and stuff like that, and thinking of people negatively when they use it in ways, if it's really good. People have their skills and their things.
Well,
that they're
there's
good at.
positive, there's a
Yeah.
positive outcome when you're being manipulated, and then there's a negative outcome.
Mhm.
If someone's manipulating you to help you get to a positive outcome,
Mhm.
it's good.
Yeah.
But if they're manipulating you for their own
Mhm.
benefit,
Mhm.
that's not so good.
Yeah.
Right? It benefits them, but and what's damaged in the process? A relationship. What is your business built on?
Mhm.
we could have a whole conversation about.
Right.
Sometimes I say on my podcast, right, we're going to talk about syntax, right, and semantics.
Yes.
And people must be thinking, oh, tremendous! I'm so glad I tuned in for this. Let's talk about semantics.
That sounds like so much fun.
Well, she sounds like a hoot. But I think there's a lot of I think a lot of things need some definition that we don't necessarily have time for in the way that we do put ourselves out online, because it's a poster, it's a live, or it's a reel, or it's a whatever. But and I think that's what's really good about something like this, is because the more often, the things we do more often can lack the nuance sometimes that a good conversation can pick up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I like to ask this year, I've been asking guests if there was one piece of advice. And it's not a new question, okay? We've posed this question to ourselves, to other people for quite a while now. But if there's one piece of advice or one thing you could say to your younger self or to someone just starting out in the middle of, I've made a huge mistake, this is not going to work, I need to just bury my head in the sand.
Yeah.
If there's one piece of advice, what would it be?
It would be build your self-trust muscle, because there's a line between looking for advice and listening to somebody else's point of view and looking outside of you for the answers, which you don't need to do. So build your trust in yourself and your decision-making ability, I think, would be my advice.
Cool. I love it. Well, thank you so, so much, Elle, for being with us. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me, both of you.
When you get that book out, you just let us know. You come back on. We'll talk all about it.
I'd love to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. And we will see you guys. We're here we try to be here every week. Some weeks we don't have a guest, so that's why we're not here. By the way, that happens. It's the first time it's happened, though, because ever since we started this podcast on kind of a whim, I just we're press and play.
Yeah.
Or Laura. We're just press and play. People started scheduling, and we had somebody scheduled every week for over a year. And then we finally decided, we need to take a break. And then when we went to pick up again, we didn't have that consistency. but everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly believe that. But so our goal is to, we're always available on at this day and time every week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sometimes we just get together and have a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
But next week we will. Let's do a. We haven't done a monthly recap in a while because we haven't had as many guests.
Mhm.
But we'll do a monthly recap next week, and then the week after that, Rakima will be with us,
Mhm.
and we're gonna have a great. I can't believe April's almost over.
Yes.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
It's May, so
May hurts
after,
for me. May's a hurt month for me.
yeah,
His
yeah.
birthday. Oh my God, dog.
Sorry, what did you say it's your birthday?
May is my birthday month, and that's always a hard month for me. Not that I care about age or anything else, like that's not what it is. I have zero idea, but I always get a little bit weird around my birthday, and then it goes away. I don't know what it is. It's just
Well, May's my birthday month as well, so we can be birthday buddies.
Y'all can be weird together. I love it. I love it. See? All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.